Hello there. This week I'm working with a fibre air dry clay to immortalise my garden. By using leaf cuttings, I've created a botanical time capsule of all my favourite plants. Want to see how it's done? Let's go in the garden. I've come outside and I've brought some clay with me. I've got a board, a rolling pin, and it's very simple. All we're going to do is just roll out a rectangle of clay. And you want to get a nice ball of clay. And when I mean nice, I mean something that doesn't have lumps in it, something that's quite soft and malleable. So I'm just working the clay now a little bit just to kind of push out any air bubbles. And I'm not going to be too precise about these things either. It's going to be a wonky pot. It's quite hot on my feet. It is a very hot day today. If when you're rolling the clay and you find any little air bubbles like that, just get a little needle tool and give them a pop. As I mentioned before, this is a fibre clay that I'm using, so I've just cut a bit of it away, and as you can see in there, there's lots of little nylon fibres running all the way through the clay. I've got my clay roughly rolled out. All I'm concerned about at the moment is making sure there are no air bubbles and that it's all roughly the same thickness. I'm just going to cut a rectangle shape, as big as I can make it. There. We're not going for perfection here. This is going to be a uniquely wonky pot. I'm quite happy with that. There. Okay. If there's one tip I know about making a wonky pot, it's about how to close the ends when you roll it together and you want to get the seam straight. And there is a trick to this. I'm going to do this now while the clay is still wet, but you might want to leave it to dry out a little bit before you try it, because you don't really want to move the shape around too much. But like I said, this is a wonky pot, so we're not going for perfection here. We're just making it and seeing how it comes out. So what I want to do along this edge here is get a tool. I've got a needle tool, but you could use a knife or a craft knife. And rather than having a straight line perpendicular going down there, that would leave you with a very small surface area to connect that side to that side. I'm going to cut it at a 45-degree angle, roughly, just making that edge a lot wider so that we've got a much bigger area to connect the two sides to. Can you see how much bigger that is? To make sure we get a good connection between the two sides, I'm going to score it. Like that. Go back the other way. And then here's the trick. We're not going to do the same on that side just yet. We're going to flip it over. So the side that I just cut is there, and this side I'm going to do exactly the same on. Cut it at an angle. You can buy tools for this. Oh, that might be a bit much. Cut it at an angle like that. Score it that way and that way. Right. Smooth off the edges a little bit. Now it's just time to pick some leaves and press them in. I'm pressing these freshly gathered garden leaves directly into the clay slab, capturing their every natural detail to decorate the outside of my new pot. Do I know their scientific names? Absolutely not. Do they look pretty squashed in clay? Definitely. Right, I've let this dry a bit, so we're ready to assemble. I'm going to use a bit of water and just wet one end. I'm not going to take the leaves off just yet because my sausage fingers will mess it all up. Now you can see, because we've done alternate sides of the cutting and the scoring, this seam here just fits together perfectly. And it's a much better fit because it's a larger surface area. I can put that. I'm just using my fingers just to smooth the clay out, but I'll give it a bit of a push together just to seal it and push out any air bubbles. Next, what you want to do is seal that on the inside by just using your finger and sealing the line. So there's no gaps, so there's no join. This is the bit where you want to take a bit of time and just make sure that you get it right. That's it sealed up, and I've added a few extra leaves where I made the join so that it doesn't look like a big space, which would make it obvious. So I've just added a few more leaves onto that. So now all we need is a base. First we need to roll out some clay about the same thickness as the pot. I'm going to lift up the pot and put it on top, trying to keep it nice and round. Not a bad shape, I think. And then using the needle tool, I'm just going to draw around. You can do a rough cut to start with and then do another one a little bit neater. There. Score along the inside. And underneath the pot. This time I'm going to add a bit of slip. This is just watered down clay. Like a clay soup. This will act like a glue. Give it a push down, gentle. Don't be too rough with it. The difficult thing now is trying to lift it up. I've got a pottery wire, but if you've got a piece of string or a piece of thread, that will do just as well. Holding it tight, I'm going to put my hip against there and just pull it underneath. Because it's wet clay, it's had a bit of suction on the bottom and it will be a bit stuck. There we go. You lose a bit, but it's not too much and it's better than ripping the pot off. I'll just clean that up a bit. And all these bits of clay, these can all get reused. Just put them back in the bag. If they're really hard, add them to your little pot of slip and make more slip. But most of the time, you can just add a bit of water and soften it back up again. Right, I'm going to put this on the wheel. Just for a bit of height, because my cat has stolen my chair. They're very handy, these little wheels. If you have anything that spins, it's quite a good little trick. I want to get a seal on the inside of the pot around where the base has gone on, because that's the point where you're going to get most cracks, and most often that's where the water will get through when you put some water in it for a vase. So I'm going to make a lot of little worms, little tiny thin wormy worms, and then put them on the inside around the bottom and then seal it up. Just a shape about that long. Put your hand inside and then smooth it into the edges and just work your way around, pushing it into that corner. You might need 3 or 4 to go all the way around. Next I'm going to use a sponge on a stick. If you haven't got a sponge on a stick, you could use just an old scourer sponge. Use the spongy side, not the scourer side. Put a little bit of water on it. Put the sponge down the bottom and just spin it around. When you view it from this angle, from above, you can see if you've got your sides are straight or if they need pushing out a little bit. I'm getting a few cracks now because the clay is drying out, but I quite like them, so I think, and they're on the outside, not the inside, so I think I'm going to keep them. There we go, I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to leave that for a day, and then tomorrow, when it's a little bit drier, I'll peel off the leaves and reveal the patterns underneath. 24 hours later, and this is now leather hard. It's not got much give in it. So I think I can start to take off the leaves and see the imprint left behind. I've been thinking a lot about how to paint these, and I'll show you what I've done with the one that I fired in the kiln. Once this clay is fired in the kiln, it turns a beautiful pink colour. I decided to use watercolours because I wanted to see if I could actually finish a vase without glazing it for once. I applied a thin whitewash first to make those vibrant greens pop, mostly because if this experiment fails, at least I want it to look pretty whilst it goes wrong. And behold, pure genius or brilliant guesswork, we'll never know. Finally, coating the whole thing in a hopefully waterproof varnish called Dead Flat Matte. I brushed it on the outside, then did my favourite glaze trick for the inside, pour a puddle in, twist it around, and dump it out for that perfect smooth finish. Then I left it propped up on a bottle of cleaning fluid to drain while I went to do literally anything else. I had in total made 3 vases using this method. The leaf one, a floral painting, and one where my cats walked all over the clay, so that one is officially Pawsome. The next day it was judgment time, varnish dry, my heart pounding, one last test. Are these actually waterproof, or have I just made 3 very pretty colanders? I poured water right to the top and waited, and a few hours later, well, the water level hadn't dropped. It was a win. So all that was left is to fill them with flowers and sit back and admire them while the local blackbird gave us a celebratory song. We made it, folks.